As much as there are attempts to make this the two sides thing, there's actually one overwhelming colonial power and there is one occupied, colonized people, and they are not the same.
Sorry. I kind of throw up in my. Hello, people. This is Socrates San. Today we will fact check this scientist, doctor. She's a doctor. Her name is Miriam Francois, something like that, and she's a convert to Islam. So you must know she's very intelligent. Please.
This is a very simple issue, and in fact, part of the propaganda machine involves talking about this as if it's two sides. It's just two sides. No, we have an occupying power which is funded to the tune of billions by the United States and receives billions of dollars of aid to drop 2,000-pound bombs on a civilian population encaged with nowhere to flee to. And then you have a civilian population which has zero control on any of its exit routes, any of its movements, and in fact is controlled under a form of colonial bureaucracy which essentially attributes different forms of rights to different Palestinians. We heard a reference here to Arab Israelis. They're not Arab Israelis, they're Palestinians who have Israeli ID. They were people who were in many cases ethnically cleansed from their homes or who have been given the choice to remain in their homes and to live under a second-class form of citizenship.
Dr. Miriam is an Islamist, and just like the radical left, Islamists cannot separate between logical consistency and truth. Dogmatists don't respond to evidence. They explain reality through their dogmatic presuppositions. And that is the reason they believe the nonsense they believe in the first place. But we care about truth, not Dr. Miriam's state of mind. So let's go one by one and investigate her claims. First, she claimed that Israel is a colonial entity. Islam is the fastest example of colonial expansion in human history. Islamists like to bolster this as evidence for the truth of Islam. Islam, in a relatively short period of time, managed to colonize vast parts of the world, constantly attacking the classic or the classical Romeo-Greek world, India, and constantly attacking the Christian world, Spain, Africa. And because offensive jihad is inherent in Islam, Islamists is the only group, as we speak, that still actively seeks to colonize the world and bring back the caliphate. There are many Islamist groups that work for this goal. Some are Hizb ut-Tahrir, who rallied the pro-Palestinian demonstrations in the UK until recently when they were designated as a terrorist organization. The Muslim Brotherhood that made Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and Hamas are classic example of modern colonists. The mullahs in Iran with their Islamic Revolution, which is also a colonial project. Iran is leading the assault against Israel as we speak with their proxies like Hezbollah in Lebanon, Islamist groups in Iraq and Syria, and the Houthis in Yemen, and of course Hamas in Palestine, as well as the global effort to undermine the domination of the West and bring the Islamic world order. So we know unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt, the people behind the so-called Palestinian struggle or Palestinian jihad are colonialists. But is Israel a colonial project? Israel was made when the Ottoman Caliphate collapsed. In other words, when Islamic colonialization ended. Israel is the only Jewish state of an ethnic group of people in their historic homeland. Israel is an ethno-state that came to be at the end of the age of empires and the introduction of ethno and nation states. So although Israel is constantly being attacked by modern-day colonialists that seek empires. Israel is a modern democratic ethno-state that just seeks a homeland for the Jews in a small piece of land in their historic home.
This is a very simple issue. And in fact, part of the propaganda machine involves talking about this as if it's two sides. It's just two sides. No, we have an occupying power.
Is Israel an occupying power? Palestine as a state never existed because they were more keen to destroy Israel instead of making a state. So they rejected the original UN partition and attacked Israel. And then went on to reject many more opportunities to make a state. So by definition, Israel doesn't occupy anything.
The UN approves of a plan to split Palestine into two states, Jewish Israel, Arab Palestine. The city of Jerusalem, which is sacred to Muslims, Christians, and Jews, is now a UN-controlled international zone. Jews accept the UN partition plan and declare independence as the State of Israel. But neighboring Arab countries object to the land takeover. This marks the beginning of the First Arab-Israeli War. Israel is victorious and makes a grab for the land intended for the Palestinian state under the UN. The land gets divided into three parts. Jordan occupies the West Bank and East Jerusalem, Egypt occupies Gaza, and the State of Israel takes 78% of historic Palestine.
Recently, a few days ago in fact, the ICJ declared the West Bank as occupied Palestinian territories by Israel. The logic behind this ruling was that these areas were designated by the UN for a Palestinian state. Yet it was Palestinians that rejected this plan. West Bank was occupied by Jordan and Gaza was occupied by Egypt. None of these areas were ever a Palestine.
It's 1967. The Six-Day War breaks out between Israel and neighboring Arab countries, and by the end of it, the map looks something like this. Palestine is now fully occupied by Israel.
So, in a defensive war, Israel took the West Bank from Jordan, not Palestine, and Gaza from Egypt, not Palestine. And now look the absurdity of the expectation. After the Arabs tried to genocide Israel and lost in a miraculous way, contrary to all odds. Okay, I'm an atheist, I don't believe in miracles, but for most Jews, God gave this land that was promised in the Old Testament in a 6-day war, and the 7th day is the Sabbath. So according to Jews, God gave them this land. The most secret land for Jews is the land where the Wall of Tears is. Okay, so, but after all that, the UN is expecting Jews to just give back this land to jihadists. Because what? Because they are such a charming fellows. After 710, imagine the expectation, okay? God gave this land to the Jews in a miracle, in a defensive war, and now they are expected to just give it back to the people that just slaughter their kids in the most heinous ways. Okay, that is beyond absurdity. And moreover, knowing very well that if they give this land, it won't going to be peace. The jihadists will just make a second Gaza in the center of Israel. And now what is the difference? Is that from Gaza, it's rocket distance. From the West Bank, it's rifle distance. So a jihadi can put a bullet in the window of an Israeli with a rifle. Okay, total absurdity.
Not me saying it, this is reports by Amnesty International, by Human Rights Watch, which show that Palestinians live under a form of apartheid throughout all of the territories occupied by Israel. When we talk about
Israel is not occupying anything, simply because Palestinians never made a state. And now, after so many wars, terrorism, and rejections of plans by Palestinians, and knowing very well Palestinians don't have goodwill. They are river to the sea jihadist colonizers. We cannot just take time back and accept the initial plan for Palestine happened decades ago. This plan was never actualized because of Palestinians. So now that Palestinians lost everything, they want the time just to go back like no war happened, no rejection happened, like they didn't do terrorism, like we don't, now everyone knows that they are ISIS jihadists, colonialists. Just go the time back to the future. Okay, so Israel doesn't occupy anything, Miriam. Now, is Israel an apartheid? Although in the Arab world, Jews are essentially ethnically cleansed, in Israel there are 2 million Arabs, 25% of the population, with equal rights with Jews, and more rights than any Arab in any Arab country. Palestinians are not Israelis, so obviously will not have equal rights with Israelis in Israel. The idea of an apartheid has two plausible explanations. Either it's security measures against a hostile, prone to terrorism population, driven by Islamic ideology, okay? Or either Israelis just enjoy to discriminate Palestinians because what? Because they get off watching Palestinians suffer. They might, I don't know, they might even masturbate. So Israelis watch with their binoculars Palestinians don't having freedom of movement, and they masturbate, essentially. They masturbate. Okay, so what is the scenario? The most plausible scenario. What Miriam, the anti-Semite lunatic, likes to believe, that Israelis just have security measures. In fact, those are not security measures. They just are racist and they like to watch Palestinians suffer. Or these are security measures, and for very good reason, as we saw in 7th of October. Guys, look the stupidity of people in the left and Islamists. So they see something like 710, and instead of having the IQ of 80 to understand, wait just a moment, that's why they have security measures. Instead of thinking that, they think the complete opposite. They lash out in 710 because of the security measures.
Extremism in Israel, and I think that that's far more significant because of the power imbalance we're talking about. There were so many points of misinformation. In 2017, Hamas, for example, altered their charter to de facto recognize the state of Israel.
No,
because
that's false.
I'm still speaking. Which is, no, that's factually correct, and we can discuss this later, but you don't get to interrupt me when I'm talking. Thank you.
No, when you say moronic idiocy. Okay, so Hamas pretended to change their charter as a military propaganda tool. Okay, so they can have a leverage to continue the struggle. You really think that Hamas, these religious sociopaths, sorry guys, it's a fly, I don't know whether, anyway. Miriam, you scientist, you don't know anything. And not only you don't know anything, you don't even have the IQ to understand the simplest stuff. Okay. Even the PLO, the moderated PLO, when they were negotiating of recognizing Israel to get land, Even Arafat said to his close circle that Mohammed told us that we can make peace for 10 years and then the struggle can continue. Those are the moderates. I have seen Norman Finkelstein, okay, a moderated professor in America, in an interview saying that Palestinians need to accept this for now until they continue their struggle. This is what the moderates say. You think Hamas, the hardcore ISIS type of terrorists, will accept a two-state solution? Okay, you are an idiot. Okay, what you just said, you just proven that you cannot be, you are an idiot. Okay, so you are an idiot.
In 2017, no, thank you. In 2017, there's a de facto recognition of the 1967 borders, which essentially means a two-state solution. But ultimately, this focus on Hamas is a distraction. Hamas does not have the support of the majority of Palestinians. In fact, even the poll he cited there is incorrect. Even in the week after the October the 7th attack, Palestinians, even in the West Bank, did not majoritarily support Hamas. There just haven't been elections in these territories, which of course has suited Netanyahu because he has used Hamas as a bogeyman to justify never having to engage in peace negotiations.
Miriam, continue the research. Continue the research. All day long research. Utter bullshit. Miriam, utter bullshit. You are, at this point, you are just like an insane person. Yes, you converted to Islam and suddenly Hamas became the two-state solution freedom fighters. So all Gaza is now destroyed. People lost their children, and we don't have a single demonstration against Hamas. Do you see any revolt against Hamas in Gaza? No. Why? They forgot, eh? What else did it need to happen to them to revolt against Hamas? Imagine how much they are against Hamas, that imagine me, my house just destroyed, my children were burned to death, and still I don't find it in my heart to revolt against Hamas, to say a negative thing. But I am against Hamas. Yeah, right. Miriam, as I said, continue the research and see you in the next video. And now, guys, I will sing a song that I made long ago with my terrible voice, but until I find a good singer. Ella, yes, you can do it. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Ella. Follow me, I'm happy to lead us. You and I, we can be believers. We believe in moving up now. Where there is a will, there is a how. Memories bring us together. Help us to establish forever. Follow me, we're both going forward. It's not mixed yet. Keep on walking to places that we've never been. Everybody be what your mind can see. Everybody has a calling. Find the faith within. Save your worry and choose to be free. And follow me. Follow me, I know where I'm going. Wanna share the knowledge I'm growing. We can breathe the air in together, walking through this pathway forever. Memories can linger and linger, but the future always is bigger. Follow me now, I'm going forward. We can step into places that we only dream. Everybody, everybody, be what your mind can see. Everybody has a calling. Fight the pain within. Save your worry and choose to be. All your life you were looking at times to break free. All this time you were hurting, but no one could see. And I know you are lonely. And I know I am saving you if you let me in. All this time you were hoping for attention to bring. All your life you were searching for something to feel. And I know you are worried. And I know you can bring and set your faith free. All your life you were looking at times to break free. All this time you were hurting, but no one could see. And I know you are lonely. And I know I can save you if you let me in. All this time you were hoping for attention to bring. All your life you were searching for something to feel. And I know that you worry. And I know you can break and set yourself free. And follow me. Guys, this is a very good song. When I fix it, I will put it again. Now it was very. Anyway, thank you very much.